So it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Tobias today, and I am so looking forward to his talk because it is one of the things that I think we've all dealt with at one point or another, especially as a product manager. You're sitting in between a lot of different people, and then you have to make sure that we all understand each other, right? So this is your fourth time at our conference or the third time. We just literally talked about it, third time, right? And these conversations keep coming up, so I think they're really important. The importance of ubiquitous language, so we all understand each other, so we don't have to have a translator app in between that always translates things incorrectly. And I can attest to that because when I lived in Germany, I would use my translator app and I would say something in it and it would translate it and it would always come out wrong. And people look at me like, what are you saying? I'm like, I didn't mean it that way. But anyway, so having a common language is important. And also, another thing that you and I were just talking about is assumptions, right? How many times we assumed something needed to happen from either the user's perspective or from the application? And I have a joke with Mitchell, which is assumptions, 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 right? We always assume something was supposed to happen. Whoops, didn't happen. So talk us through that and let us know how we can remedy those assumptions and language barriers. Yeah, please help me welcome Tobias.
Thank you. So, we all know these meetings that just seem to drag on and they never stop. One person is talking, explaining their ideas, what they have in mind, and they focus basically on their own stuff. I had this colleague, and he would always come to me and say, "Oh, I have a problem here, and can you help me with that?" And then he would show me all the places of his code, and I literally had no idea and was lost after 5 minutes. And I think this might sound familiar to you. So in these long meetings, sometimes people get bored, watch for the clock, or just tap their phone. Or you just have this weird feeling that something is off, that participants are talking at cross purposes. And I would like, before we start into the talk, I would like to go a bit into an aspect of the talk, and that is the outcome. So what do I want to achieve here? Or, as you would ask as a clean language question, what would you like to have happen? And I thought, okay, I want you as the participants to have a feeling for clean language in IT. How does this help you? I want that you walk away with a smile and that you have this like enlightenment. I learned something. That is the smiling audience. And of course, I'm also giving you a playbook that you can look into for yourself to learn a little bit more about clean language. And if you have any questions, just come back to me anytime after the talk. Then I thought, okay, who is this talk for? It is not for me. I already know this stuff. It is for you. And I want it to be playful, exciting. I want it to be a safe space for learning. And it has to have a story. So I took the ending, Q&A. Okay. And what happens just before Q&A? Recap. And recap. And what happens just before that? And so I walked through this story, and basically I created a model of the talk that I had in mind. And with that came some issue, because I changed the title a little bit. I wanted to be as much on the point as possible and deliver you just the best talk. So the title is Business Says Visitor, but your code says user. Let's fix that. I am Tobias Brennecke. I have like over 15 years of experience in IT consulting, coming from a developer to architecture to just doing everything. And now I'm going more into my passion of teaching and explaining things and becoming an IT trainer. And I do this with clean language, and I also offer clean language coaching for people in IT, so that there is this clarity that Sarah was talking about. So let's dive in. When we have a conversation, here on the left is the business side, and on the right is maybe anybody of you or me or whatever. So business says, when a visitor browses our website, we need to record what pages they visit. And you go like, easy. So each time a user sees a web page, we track that page visit in our application. Yeah, as I said, we need to record the pages our visitors visit when browsing the website. Okay, got it. Let me code this real quick. So there you go. You create a class, a model of what was being said, and your language is like this. It has a user, it has user ID, web page, scene, scene web pages, track, page visit. And I want to ask a few of you, what do you think went wrong here? Any ideas? Yep. Correct. Business says visitor, but your code says user. Anything else? Hmm? Yeah. Business says record and you have C. Also correct. Anything else? Okay, so seen doesn't mean necessarily seen, but you also want to, what did you say? Know what he did on the page. Yeah, okay. We don't know. Are we talking, the question was, are we talking about a logged in user or just a random person? We don't know yet. Yeah. So, any idea what else went wrong here from the way this conversation worked? Yeah? Mhm. Nobody opposed the idea. Sarah? Yeah, yes. You're using two different languages and expectations are different. And I experienced this gap for my whole career. I started as a developer and bugs were just, shifted to QA. There was no real testing. And then there was this, okay, we need to retest manually because we don't know what your automated tests do. So I came up with a domain-specific language so they can see what is tested. And that was the first time I went into domain-specific languages and my start on my road to domain-driven design. And now I'm standing here, and what the problem is that if I talk about a chair, then I have a totally different chair in mind than anybody of you. We need to agree on what is a chair, what is the properties of a chair. So when business talks about visitor, then some of the information gets reflected right away. The person here on the right is maybe preoccupied and thinks, okay, a visitor is a user. And before the person even starts to listen, part of the meaning is already lost. And there's also this, okay, I need to integrate this with what I know, what I have in mind, my mental model, and then I have to make an assumption, and I can, with that assumption, I can respond like we previously did, like the person on the right says, yeah, it's a user, I know users, and I'm going to implement a user, and the person on the left said, yeah, okay, probably that is a visitor, so yeah, do it. Yeah. And this happens with a whole lot of terms. And as you can see, the red terms from the previous example, I highlighted, I put them into a kind of graph so you can see a little bit of the relations. Visitors browse websites, user track page visit for web pages, visitor visit page, and the page visit gets recorded. And it is really obvious that there is some kind of mismatch. And I experienced also the same with AI. This was really insightful. I thought like, yeah, this thing has also a statistical model that resembles a kind of mental model. And I am just telling it what to do. I'm making an assumption that it knows what I might have meant. And I need to grab something here quickly. So I brought a little something. I brought this box here. And just imagine, oh, where do we go here? Just imagine that there's one word written at the front of this box. It says enterprise. So, what do you assume could be inside of this box? Sarah?
Big contract.
A big contract, okay? Hmm? A model of a spaceship, yeah? A Java bean. Okay. Okay, one more suggestion. Anyone? Yeah? A set of complicated business processes. Okay, so actually there are some pens and stickies inside. And some of my business cards that you can get later. But for the purpose of this talk, it's of course the enterprise. And in such an enterprise, you have whole teams. You have engineering, for example. You have weapons. You have navigation. You have the CEO of the enterprise. And also you have lots of data. And now imagine that there in between there's always this wall of assumptions and preoccupations, even between the team members, but also between two teams, like it is literally everywhere. And that is why I set out and said, okay, I would like to teach people in IT effective communication using clean language. Whenever you are modeling something in your code, on your whiteboard, in your head, when you make assumptions, this comes in very handy, and I use it myself all the time. So let's revisit the previous conversation. But now we start with a clean question. A question that is free of introducing new concepts or biases. I don't ask something like, is it a user or a customer? Because it is a visitor. Yeah, that would be a closed question. We ask in clean language as the initial question most of the times, what would you like to have happen? And the answer could be anything. So the other person responds. And while the other person responds, we put on our cat ears. We are curious and we focus on the other person and their words and keep our assumptions and preoccupations for ourselves. So the other person says, we would like to offer discounts for visitors based on their browsing history. Okay. And what you're then going to do is you write these words down or just remember them, and then you repeat them exactly as said with the word "and" in front. And you would like to offer discounts for visitors based on their browsing history. So you don't paraphrase, you don't change a nuance of a word, you paraphrase. And this gives the other person the feeling that you are really listening, that you are really paying attention. And it also helps them a lot to get a little bit of clarity about their model. And in their head, it is like, okay, visitor, browsing history, offer discount. That is what we currently both know, kind of. And then I ask, and what kind of visitor is that visitor? Oh, it is someone who wants to attend the conference. Then I'm going to paraphrase again, and it's someone who wants to attend the conference. And they learned maybe something new, maybe they didn't know before. It was in their subconscious that visitors also attend conferences. Or we didn't know, but we asking for their, so they can discover their mental model. And after the paraphrasing, I ask, I want to model this visitor a little bit more. What are its properties? And is there anything else about visitor? Some of them are still uncertain, so we offer a discount on the tickets. And some of them are still uncertain, so you offer a discount on the tickets. And the model changes again. And then we think, okay, maybe browsing history, like from the initial intention, would be a good thing to explore. So we ask, and what kind of browsing history is that browsing history? It's a list of pages that visitors have seen when browsing our website. And it is a list of pages visitors have seen when browsing your website. And what happened is that also in like maybe writing down the answers and making connections, you are creating a sort of graph of the other person's mental model, or So what we just did is we created a kind of map. Like we did some mapping of the mental landscape of the client. And I think this is really valuable for them. They see new connections, get new ideas. But it is also very valuable for us because we can use this map. And that is what I did here. So we have our mental model on the left, our map, and on the right we have some code. And as you can see now, I'm just using the same terms as the customer. So we kind of agreed on a common language, a language that could be a shared language in your team or in your project, also called a ubiquitous language. So we have visitor, conference, we have list of pages, and that was a really small detail. In the first example, I just assumed, okay, it's a set. Yeah. We have the browsing history, we have recorded, conference attended, discount offered. And with that, we get a vicious feedback cycle where business can make suggestions and they understand very well how the application works on a higher level, and we can make better suggestions as developers. And this is like a key thing here, I guess. So I want to tell briefly how clean language affected me and how it actually changed my life. So people are coming to me and asking for advice all the time because I'm a very analytical person. You have a large problem, you decompose it into several sub-problems, you solve them, problem solved. But there was this thing that when I gave some advice, mostly it wasn't followed. And then I thought, okay, maybe that is not the best idea. I'm just going to tell something from my experience. And they can pick up the parts that fits for them. And then I learned about clean language. And now I can go, when a person comes to me and says, hey, can you help me with this or that? I'm just going to ask, and what would you like to have happen? And I can let them stay in their mental model. If I would give an advice, it would be as I would be giving advice to myself, because their mental model is not my mental model. And I thought, wait, this modeling with the clean questions, this is not only for like coaching or like if my knee hurts, what kind of pain is this pain in my knee? It is also that we model in IT a lot. We have domain models, for instance. We have architecture diagrams. We have documentation. We have metaphors like firewall or cloud. That has been something physical once, but the meaning changed to something entirely different. And I also had this miscommunication, long meetings, and this nearly led me at one point to one step into burnout. And after that, I felt there is this change going on, and this clean language thing, it resonated within me. Why? It gave me a framework for communicating and for helping other people. And my hopes are that by using clean language and listening more and putting attention towards the other person, we can actually reduce our stress level. And with that, the chance of getting like burnout or depression. There's lots more clarity, less rework. And I read about an interesting fact. Miscommunication is responsible for 90% of all failing projects, but project managers only attribute 17% to miscommunication as a cause. So there is a huge gap here. And language is a cross-cutting concern that we have to consider. if we write it in one place, user, okay, no big deal. If you do this 5 or 6 times, or even more, you are in a situation where you have lots of technical debt and death by 1,000 cuts. So I put all the questions that I used here in this talk into a playbook that you can download at the end of the presentation for free. So you can, have a deeper look for yourself. It is built like recipes, so problem, solution, explanation. Let's wrap up our talk. I don't know why this in the middle is pixelated, whatever. So we learned, I have shown you how exquisite listening works. It's not a paraphrasing or active listening technique, it's really mirroring the words of the other person. And you need to be a curious cat with your cat ears for that. I have shown you some of the maybe 20 core clean language questions. What would you like happen? What kind of X is that X? And is there anything else about that X? And these are some of the questions that are asked more often and can help you get new insights. And also, I have shown you how to translate this model into your code, and also even you can translate it back, of course, because code is also a model. So, as a key takeaway, when you go out of this room, try to practice this exquisite listening, like to turn this inner commentator off and just focus on the other person. Repeat a few words, maybe the last 3 ones, or if you're really good and have a big buffer in your head, you can put a whole sentence in there. Also, if you like to learn more and experience this in depth, I'm offering my Clean Language Ninja workshop, and I'm also working on some training where you can have a real deep dive for your whole team to learn clean language and its connection and application in IT. So, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Tobias. I think this will not only improve our applications, but also our personal relationships. I really do believe that. If anybody has been around children, or especially neurodivergent children or family members where you have to really be specific. I have a 9-year-old son who is neurodivergent, and when he was younger, I would say, when you wake up in the morning, get ready. In my head, I was like, get ready. Make your bed, use the bathroom, eat breakfast, brush your teeth, put clothes on. Easy. And we couldn't figure out why this was not registering. And my husband, who's also a software developer, very detail-oriented, he started writing a list together. It's like, okay, wake up means 1, get out of bed. 2, use the bathroom, right? And it was like that list was 15 items long. And we started seeing a lot of improvement, and like waking up in the morning was not a hassle anymore. And that list over time became shorter and shorter because we understood each other's languages. And I think that's really important. So I love this. Thank you so much, Tobias. Any questions?
Yeah, love the talk. Can you go back to the slide with the aggregate?
Oh, yeah. It's no.
The best part.
Wait. Here, I got it.
Yeah, so the first conversation between the client and me or you brought some clarity. So we got a clean language between that pair of humans.
Mm-hmm.
How is that sort of maintained over to the code? Because here I see still the term visitor, but I'm recording a page visit on a visitor or for a visitor?
For a visitor.
But is that really explicit here, or does that tell me something about maybe if the aggregate term is the right one, or is more a visitor session where I can record a page visit for a visitor?
So let me ask you this: what kind of visitor is this visitor?
Yeah.
No, that's like we haven't modeled this yet. I didn't like the model is not perfect.
Yep.
And you can still dive deeper. As you can also see here with the bold and the red, we haven't explored all the branches yet. I just wanted to keep it short.
Yeah. But I guess sort of the purpose is to make sure that the clean language is maintained throughout, right?
Yeah.
Even
and you can also do this with groups to have a shared understanding in a group. You can also, someone recommended me to have a Pictionary, like using pictures instead of terms for what does this mean, what is a visitor or a card.
Actually, Mark's question spawned a thought in my head. So, are you ever done with this, or when do you know that you know enough to start coding, for example? So when do you know my model is good enough? How many iterations of this do you do?
I don't know yet. Just start and see where you go.
I think it's kind of like event modeling process, isn't
Yeah.
it? Right?
Yeah.
And it's I would think it's a live process. It's a live
Yeah.
documentation. You keep going back to it and reiterating because, you know, things change and things become more clear or
Yeah.
less clear. Who knows?
This goes hand in hand with the concept ubiquitous language, if I'm not wrong. And I read about ubiquitous language, and the question is, do I only listen to the other party, or we both have to come something in common? So the thing is, you said you have to listen, yes?
Yeah.
But is always that I have to accept whatever the business guy is saying? So is it only that way? It's not like that, especially for the vocabulary or the attributes or things like that. So don't we have to collaborate and come to something common, like middle ground?
It depends. That is a short answer. The longer answer is you have to know when you need to be clean, like if some term maybe is very important, and when there's maybe a point in the conversation where you just come up with a suggestion which is from your mental model and thus not clean. So yeah.
I like the it depend answer. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
Right? And I think if I may add to that, I think sometimes you do have the option to collaborate and change things. Sometimes you don't. If, for instance, you are trying to implement a law into your application, there's certain language that you cannot change, right? So that's, I think, when it comes to the point of like, okay, can we or can we not change it? Are we in a, more democratic space or not? It's just, yeah. But thank you so much, Tobias, and this was insightful. Thank you.